Spencer.
So, Spence,
Go ahead, Ron.
So, Spence, you've been on staff for several Utah State games now. There's a new coaching staff in place over there. They've also added 14 transfers this year. As you look at them on film, schematically and physically, do they look any different than they have in past years?
They have, yeah. I mean, they're very explosive on offense. They're putting up tons of points, tons of yards. Hats off to that staff. They're undefeated. They've, I believe, number 13, their receiver right now is the number one receiver in the country. So, like I said, they've got the weapons. They understand the schemes they're trying to do. They're going to try and go extremely fast. They're going to use tempo, and they've got weapons they're going to create space for them throughout the game. So, I think it's a great offense, and we're excited for the challenge.
And obviously, struggles against stopping the run kind of crept up again this past weekend. As you look at this game and compare it to the season opener, are there any similarities there in why you guys struggled?
Yeah, I mean, in relation to the game, like I said, first and foremost, it starts with me and making sure our guys are prepared and put them in the right situations to execute. And just like anything, when you play good teams and you play in the games that we want to be playing in here at Boise State, we need to, the margin for error is zero. So even on the long run, it's a little thing here, and then all of a sudden it's out with those type of tailbacks we're playing. And so just making sure our guys are prepared and ready for those things going forward is going to be huge. And we're going to continue to grow our team, grow up front. And it's not just up front. It's for the linebackers. It's the secondary. Everybody needs to grow and take a step in that because we talked, last week, Ron, that stopping the run, as our first and foremost standard for defense is you have to do that. And so we obviously know we have a lot to grow in, and we're excited to go into the how of it and how we can get that fixed and put a better performance up this coming Saturday.
And last one for me. I know I've asked you a lot about Scott Matlock over the last few months or whatever, but he just looks so improved as a pass rusher this year. Is that a credit to his physical transformation, or has that been a focus of his in the offseason?
Yeah, it's been a huge focus of his, and Coach Miley and Coach Avalos working with have done a great job. Just him understanding, angles, target points, first step, where to place his hand, and it's been cool to see him grow in that. And obviously, just like anything, the more athletic you are, the faster you can get off the rock and create speed in the old lineman's feet. I mean, especially for a big dude like him, I mean, you're going to get production. It's cool to see him get that. And like I said about Scott, I'm excited to see him continue to take steps to grow in all phases of his game.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Ron.
Hey, Spencer.
What's up, Beach?
Hey, with when he was asking about stopping the run, I mean, the D-line came in, I don't know if hype's the right word, but there was a lot of people praising the D-line, how deep they were and your linebackers and stuff. And I think at least to fans, media, whatever, it's been pretty surprising the struggles against the run. What for you, did you think 3 games in, we wouldn't be still asking you about this?
Yeah, first to tell you guys it's frustrating, and it's definitely not the standard with which we want to play. And it's something that we are excited to get fixed. Obviously, giving up the yards we have is not something we're proud of, but we do have the answers. I believe we not only have the players, we have the coaches to get it done. But it's definitely, to answer your question, BJ, something going into the season that didn't want to have happen. It has. And now as a coach and as a leader, looking at the how of how we can get it fixed, from meetings to practice to play calls, how we can put our guys in better situations and how we can train them to where we're not giving up the yards we are, because we can't, especially going where we want this team to go.
How much do you lean on, Frank and Stacy? And I know it's a lot of new players, as Ron was saying, and a new staff over there, but just their experience and knowing some of the personnel from Utah State, how much do you lean on those guys this week?
Yeah, it's been awesome to talk to about, because they obviously have a firsthand look from being over there to see, what is this offensive lineman good at? What is this tailback good at? Obviously, there's a lot of transfers, so there are a lot of new faces on that roster from the guys they brought in. But the guys that have been there, it's been great to be able to talk to Frank and talk to Stacy about, who are these guys? What are maybe some things that they might struggle with, and kind of get their 2 cents on it. But at the end of the day, just like any team, we're gonna attack the process the same way we do and find ways to do it better. And first and foremost starts with stopping the run, and it's an explosive offense, and how we deal with the tempo and the speed and the spacing is going to be huge for us this week. But I know, from me to our players, we're excited for the challenge, and we're frustrated about this past Saturday. But at the end of the day, it's how you can get it fixed and learn from it and grow and continue to put a better product on the field.
Andy was telling us a little earlier just about how wide their splits are, and he said the receivers are almost on the sidelines. And
yep.
That does is kind of open up the QB run game and some of the things on the inside. What kind of challenge does their offense present?
Yeah, first and foremost, the tempo. They're trying to go as fast as they can. They're trying, regardless, it's not just earn first down. They're trying to go as fast as humanly possible. And then they're using the entire width of the field. Every 53 and a third, they're trying to use it. And to Coach Avalos's point, they're putting receivers almost, a yard from the sideline. So they're creating this space that completely widens your defense. And you can see throughout the first 3 games of their season, they're creating explosive plays because they're making sure you're not layered on defense. So if someone misses a tackle, there's no one there to make them right because of the space. And so they do a good job creating space, and they do a good job with the tempo, making it tough to create these alignments for the defense. And they have really good complement plays from the run game to the pass game and the things they have off it. So like I said, hats off to their offensive coaches. And I know the head coach is very involved with the offense, and I think they do a hell of a job.
Thanks, sir.
Thanks, BJ.
Let's go with Spencer.
What's up, Jay?
Hey, I know that the first half was a little bit of a struggle against the run, but the second half, 78 yards on 35 carries. I mean, I'm sure you take that any day of the week. What were you able to correct in the second half? And is that the performance that you can duplicate versus the first half performance?
Yeah, I'm very, obviously not glad about how the game ended, but I am proud of our players that they stayed in the fight and how they responded in the second half. I think from a coaching staff to Coach Avalos to the rest of our assistants, creating a plan from halftime into some little tweaks that we can have in the second half that can help us, especially once we knew kind of what Oklahoma State was going to do. And it was cool to see our players go out and execute it. Was the second half perfect? No. Some things that we still have a lot to grow in and excited to see, but it's really good for our players and coaches to see, the second half, like that's us operating the way we believe we can. And being able to emulate that, for all 4 quarters, not just for quarter 3 and quarter 4, is going to be huge for us going forward, because, you look at the first half, you give the explosive run, and then, there's 4 or 5 minutes left in the first half, and we've still given up 7 points. And then you give them an explosive play, we get a pass interference call, and we just don't handle it well. And like I said, it starts with me and making sure our guys are in better situations and trained for those moments so that we can respond and finish the first half in the right way. And then obviously proud of how our guys played in the second half. Not perfect, but definitely can see that our stuff it works. We have the right players to get it done. We just got to be more consistent in how we train to get there.
It feels like maybe your most consistent player. One of your most consistent is JL. Have you had a guy like him before that consistently hits as hard as he do? I mean, he had the one where he got the receiver that came back around and flipped him, but he had one earlier in the game where went through a guy and forced a break up, and then the other reverse where he tracks the guy down. I mean, how good has he been? And have you had a guy? What is it like to have a guy that is hits as hard as he does back there?
Well, it's awesome. I think it does, obviously, especially at the safety position, they got to make everybody right in front of them, because if they're wrong, it's going to be gone, and having that understanding, and excited to see JL continue to take steps and how he preps. Cause he's got all the ability. He's a great kid. And it's cool to see him continue to grow and how he attacks, practice from Monday all the way to Friday to be able to play in these games. And I'm excited to see him continue to take steps this week, because he's growing in that. And I think he can look at Kakala Kaneo. We've talked about this before, and see kind of how he does it. But he has a skill set that is special. And I'm excited that I really believe his best football is in front of him if he continues to grow and understand what it takes to prep and be able to play in these games, because he's done a lot of good things on the field, and it's exciting to see. But in my conversation with him, is always like, man, I truly believe that he can even be way better, because he is long, rangy, explosive, violent, instinctual, and he has that, and it's cool. I'm excited just to see his growth if he continues to prep and understand that, he's done some good things, but that's where it comes back to our mentality, Jay, which we talked about a lot, is it's that humble and hungry, man. People are patting you on the back. Just keep focused on what you can do to grow, and I think the sky's the limit for him.
Yeah, and one more for me on the other end of that. You guys were pretty good against the pass, obviously, the other day. But Oklahoma State hit the one they needed, and Markell seems like he's had a great year. He had 8 tackles in the game the other day. But, Will was pointing out to me he looked pretty distraught after allowing that catch. So how do you approach that with him, where he plays so well and making sure, one play doesn't swing things for him?
No, 100%. And on defense, more in those situations, and especially at the corner position, it's going to come down to one-on-ones. I mean, that's it. Regardless what you can do, it's going to come down to that. And to your point, Jay, I think he's done an awesome job this season. It's cool seeing him step into that role because he has had a great 3 games. And is it perfect? No, but how he's trained to get to that point has been awesome. And, my conversation with him, just be honest, in the locker room, he was, heartbroken because of that play. But I told him again, I was like, if you were to tell me at the end of the game that it was going to be Markel Reed versus their receiver, I'll take it still every single time. And I told him that, and that doesn't waver my confidence. I love that kid. I love him deeply and excited to see him continue to grow. And obviously there's, different techniques and things we can work to play that. He didn't win that 1 rep, but I'm confident that when it comes down to it again, and we will be in that situation again at some point, he's going to win it. And that's what I told him, because I really do believe that. He stayed in the fight all game long, and he does not back down from whoever he's guarding, and he'll go guard their best guy. And I take that matchup all day, any day. Thanks, Jay.
John, Will, and Mike.
Yeah, just one for me, Coach. What clicked with JL? Like, I've noticed it not just in his personality on the field, but also off the field. His interviews are better than they were last year. Is there anything specifically, maybe just natural growth? But yeah, to me, he's been the best guy on this team. What clicked?
No, it's just been cool to see him grow. Like when we talked about last week, over Christmas, didn't even go home because he was frustrated how the season ended and stayed here to grind and grow and continue to hone his craft, because I think he knows how good he can be if he continues to grow. And it's cool to see him start to see glimpses of that. And I think he's just starting to grow up in that and understand that who he can be. And I think little by little, when he starts to see glimpses, then you start to really catch fire in regards to, okay, if I continually grow in my habits on the field and off of them, the sky's the limit for that young man. And I know our team is way better with him. And I'm just my biggest thing for him with all our players is just, if you want to continue to grow and be the player that I know you can be, and make sure these first 3 games are not your best games, let's continue to be humble and hungry, because he has all the talent in the world, and I'm excited to see him grow. But you're right, John. He's been doing some really good things. I'm just excited to see him continue to take those steps.
Hey, Spence, what kind of lift did Riley give you guys in that second half?
Well, it was awesome to get Riley back. He's such a seasoned vet, and he's got, so many reps under his belt. I was really proud of Brandon Hawkins stepping in and playing for Riley when he was out that first half. But, Riley's one of our leaders on defense, and I think he did a great job in the first half, leading on the sideline. But there is something when a player that's played so much football like Riley gets back in the game and can make some things happen just with the amount of reps he's had. So it was great to get him back there in the second half. But I am proud of how the rest of our players stepped up in his absence, just like we did with Kikala the week prior. But was excited to obviously get him back, and he did some good things. Obviously, the fumble at the end of the game was big, and your players make plays.
Coach, wanted to talk to you about power backs. The
receiver
power
number
back,
13, Tompkins, in yards.
Say it one more time. Oh.
I wasn't sure if Will was done, I guess.
No, you're good, Mike. Go ahead.
Okay. Hey, let's talk a little bit about you faced a couple of really good power backs so far this year, the Central Florida kid and then the Warren kid on Saturday night. Your assessment of how you've handled power backs, and talk to me about the difference of how defenses approach a power back as opposed to the shifty athletic scat back. It's got to be different mentality. It's got to be different physically wise. How do you guys handle that? And how have you handled those 2 power backs so far this year?
Yeah, UCF, and obviously this past weekend we gave up way too many rush yards. So I'd sit here and say we haven't handled it well. The thing that we're going to continue to grow in is understand, especially the power backs we've seen at UCF and Oklahoma State. Not only are they strong and physical at the point of attack, but if you're wrong, they could also take it the distance. And so just the biggest thing for our guys, and we hit it last week, we're going to continue to hit it to grow in that habit, is you got to take their motors from them. You got to strike them right through the thigh boards and take their legs, because if you're too high, which happened a couple times, they're going to run right through you like you're not even there. And so continue to lower our guys' target zone to make sure we're trying to take their motors out, take them through the legs and get them down, because we're playing these 225 plus backs that not only can make you miss, will run you over. And if you're wrong, I mean, it's out, as we obviously saw this weekend.
Coach, appreciate your time.
Thanks, Mike.
Spencer, appreciate it. Thanks very much.
Appreciate you guys. Thanks for everything.
Thanks, Spencer.